Alright, so let's continue this studio apartment. In the last lesson, we did the stairs. I realized there is something wrong here at the top of the stairs, but we're gonna fix it in a later lesson where we're gonna add details and do adjustments, and we're gonna also fix the stairs. But for now, in this lesson, we're gonna create the bed. To create the bed, first click here on the modeling, so we make sure we create all the objects in this collection. Add a cube, Shift A, cube. I will move it out of the way over here so we can work with it easily. I will resize this cube on the x-axis, S, X, and say 20. Resize it on the y-axis, S, Y, I'll say 16. This is gonna be the matrix. And I will resize it on the z-axis, 2.5. Like this. Now I will duplicate this one and I will move it down on the z-axis like this. I will resize it on the z-axis and say 0.3 and move it in place. Maybe a little more up. Now let's duplicate this one. Shift D. Move it up a little bit. I will rotate it R, Y, and 90 degrees and move it on the x-axis on this side. Perfect. Now let's resize it on the z-axis. SZ 0.45 and move it in place a little up. Something like this. Everything has to align perfect. All the details matters. Now, after we do this step, we're gonna create the pillows. So I will create a new cube, but before that I want to move the cursor here. So I'll press Shift S, cursor to selected. Now create a cube. Move it a little up. And we're gonna resize this one on the y-axis 6. Resize it again on the x-axis 5. And resize it on the z-axis 0.2. Very thin. And move it a little more up. Something like this. This is good. Alright, so this is gonna be the pillow. But before we create the pillow, we need to adjust a little the matrix. So I will select the matrix. I will press Ctrl A and I will apply all transforms. I will go into edit mode, pressing tab. I will press U and Smart UV project and say OK. Now I will press Ctrl B and drag a little. If you have it like this, now I have only 2 edges for the bevel. So I will want to add more. Let's say now I have 4. I think 4 are fine, but a little more. Let's say 5. Yes, this looks good. Okay, good. Go out of edit mode in object mode. Right click shade smooth. And also you can enable this auto smooth. Now with the matrix selected, I will go to this physics properties and I will enable collision. and leave it like this. Now with the pillow, I'll go in edit mode, top view. I will want to make 10 cuts like this. So I will scroll my mouse 10 times. Actually, it's gonna be 11 cuts, 10 times scrolling your mouse. So I did it twice. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And click and cancel the movement with right click. And now I will scroll my mouse 11 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Click, right click, perfect. Now go in object mode. We're gonna go to modifiers, add modifier, subdivision surface. We're gonna put both of them to 3. Good. Now, before we make the pillow, because Blender might crash while you do this, depends on your machine. If your machine is very good, your laptop, your desktop, wherever you are working, if your machine is good, this will not crash, but it's better to save to make sure everything is fine. So I'll press Ctrl S and save this file and make sure I don't lose all my work. Good. After you save, go here to this panel Physics Properties and enable Close, and here we're gonna scroll down until we find pressure. Here is the pressure. I'll enable this, and under pressure I'll say 2. Now click play or the space button. If you don't have this panel, okay, so let's say you don't have this at the bottom. How can you do this? Is here on the corner, you put your mouse like this until you see this cross, and you drag it up, and here where you have this icon, you're gonna click here and you're gonna choose timeline. Perfect. And now click play, and the pillow is gonna transform into a pillow. You're gonna leave it like this until you are happy with the shape that it has. I think it looks good like this, because I want these wrinkles to make it look more realistic. So when you are happy with the shape of your clothes, you can leave it even more or less. Just stop it when you are happy with the shape of your pillow. Now go here to object at the top and say convert to mesh. That's it. We applied everything we did to this pillow. Now we have it as a mesh. Right click, shade smooth. We can resize it on the z-axis a little bit because I feel it's too tall. And let's say set origin to geometry first. SZ and just a little bit. Actually, no, I think that's fine. It looks good. Okay, so now let's move it in place. And duplicate it over here. Now we have 2 pillows. And let's click the blanket. For the blanket, I'm gonna add a plane. Shift A, mesh plane. I'll move it up a little bit. G, Z, and move it up. Like this. Resize it on the x-axis, saying 22. And resize it on the x-axis on the y. and resize it on the y-axis, saying 20. It has to be bigger than the bed because usually a pillow that is covering the bed is gonna be bigger than the size of the bed. That's good. Now go in edit mode, top view, pressing 7, numepad 7. I'll scroll my mouse wheel 11 times on the x-axis like this. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and that's it. I have 12 cards. And now keeping the top view the other way, pressing Ctrl R and do 11 cards. That means 10 times scroll your mouse wheel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's good. Go into object mode, add modifier, subdivision surface, move both of them to 3. Now go to the physics panel, add collision, and here scroll down a little bit, and where you see soft body and close, change the friction from 5 to 15. Now let's go up and add close. Click on this close. Let's move it back to the frame 0 or 1. And here we have one single option to change, and it is here on this dot. I will click and I will choose cotton. Now we have to reposition this one a little bit on the x-axis to go like this over the pillows. This looks good. Before we click play, we have to take both pillows and add collision to them. So I put collision to this one and I go to the other pillow and add collision. Now select the blanket and we can hit play. You see, I feel like my blanket is too tall. So I will resize it a little bit on the x-axis. Is X and resize it a little bit. Like this, I feel it's good. Press Ctrl A, all transforms. Now hit play again. I think I want to move it a little more up. So always I go to frame 1 when I do changes. I don't do changes when I'm like this. So I go to frame 1 and move it on the x-axis a little bit more over the pillows. Like this. I think this is gonna be perfect. So this is how the blanket looks like. I'm happy with this result. Ignore all these spots, we're gonna solve that in a moment. And when you are happy with your result, you can go to object and here you have convert to mesh. So it applies all those. Now you can right click and shade smooth. Also, I think I will add another subdivision surface over here to look even more smooth. You can put it to 2. And I will add another modifier called solidify to remove all those spots. So here I will change the offset from -1 to 1. Maybe increase the thickness a little more, let's say 2. And this looks perfect now. Now let's create the legs of the bed. I want to have strong, thick legs. So for this, I'll create a cube, move it down, resize it, let's say 2, and press S, Z, and 1.5. This is good. Now, let's see button view with 7, numpad 7, and then press numpad 9 and move it in place. One over here. Now let's put it over here. Like this. Shift D, Y, and move it on this side. Take both of them, Shift D, X, and move it over here. Now let's move them up. G, Z. Move them up like this. And this is it. This is our beautiful bed. I will group these ones, the legs, Ctrl J. Because they're gonna have the same material. The back, the bottom, and the legs. I'll select all of them and press Ctrl J. Now let's add the materials. I'll say new and say bed wood. I'll select the mattress, add new and say bed mattress. Select the pillow, new bed pillow. And the other one, I don't create new, I just select the bed pillow that I just made. And for the blanket, new and say bed blanket. Perfect. Now we can select all this bed, including the legs, the back, the bottom, the mattress, the pillows, and the blanket. Press Ctrl J. You see, you have to make sure you have no modifiers. So we're gonna go on each of them and apply any modifiers that we have over here. So we don't get that problem anymore. That's it. Now select all of them, press Ctrl J, and now it's perfect. This is our bed, and over here, if you go to materials, we're gonna have materials for all these sections of the bed. And call this one bed. Now let's place it in the room upstairs. It should fit perfectly. I just want to make sure that it doesn't go inside this wall. So I'll move it a little more. And this looks good. So you will not see the pillows and all that, but if you do an animation or you render it from another point of view, like this one, for example, you can render it from this one. Actually, now I realize that this bed has the legs too tall, so I'll just move it down to make them look shorter. They will not go out on the other side. Yes, like this. I feel this is better. Alright, so we created the bed. Let's move it in the block out. Save this file. In the next lesson, we're gonna create the door. We're gonna have a door here, like the door of the studio apartment. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye!